and Chris Dawkins, and my name is Dr. Sharon Michael Chadwell. So we've got some topics we want to discuss with you guys this week, and hopefully you guys will chime in with comments. And before I get started, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons so that you know when our shows do come on. Anyway, so I've got 4 topics. 2 of them are kind of blending in together. First of all is the farewell speech by President Joseph Biden. The next one is an incident here in San Antonio that happened in Dream Week that may not be getting national attention, but it definitely got our attention. And then finally, Michelle Obama has decided not to attend the inauguration, and also Vice President Kamala Harris did not invite the Vances over to the Vice President estate. So the first thing is the farewell speech by President Joseph Biden. Did any of you guys see the show?
I did.
What'd you think?
I thought it was very good. First of all, I thought it was very succinct with what he said. He did kind of, I don't want to say drop bombs, but he kind of did, he made some accusations at the incoming, administration about oligarchs and different things like that. Which everybody knew who that was directed towards. But I thought he did it all very gracefully. He did it in a short period of time. It wasn't a long speech, and I thought it was overall very good.
Mm-hmm. What you, Caleb?
I didn't catch it.
You didn't catch it?
I didn't catch it.
Well, let me kind of help you out on that. One of the issues that he did talk about was with Facebook not fact-checking anymore. Of course, X is not only not fact-checking, they also were removing the timestamps of postings. So one of the things that he honed in on was the onslaught of misinformation and disinformation. And so within let me explain the difference between the two. Misinformation is when you're giving out wrong information, but you're doing it not on purpose. Disinformation is you are doing it truly on purpose, and it more so to control or kind of make folks think your way. And so what we're seeing right now in the Black community, within the Black community, there's onslaught of anti-DEI propaganda. Of course, affirmative action being removed. And he had some concerns about this disinformation in particular that's about to roll out even more so. Now, there was a conference with some Black men who focus in on disinformation and the effect it is having on Black men. And one of the things that another YouTuber said that this disinformation is designed to bring in more Black men over into the Republican Party. So a lot of stuff they're saying out there is not true. In fact, Steve Bannon and Elon Musk are having this back and forth fight. And some of the language that they're using is designed really more for Black men. So be very, very careful with the disinformation that is going to be headed our way.
Well, I think you got 2 factions within the Black community. You got the fact-checking community, and you got the ones who don't fact-check. The ones who don't fact-check are looking at this, and now there's no guardrail.
Right.
Okay, so and the reason that this is being done is because Zuckerberg is really kissing up to Trump in this whole situation, and that's where this whole thing is coming from. Trump doesn't want anybody to be fact-checking, mainly for his own purposes, that he can utilize the platform, and he doesn't want the fact-checking involved. And that's where the guardrails are off. So things that you see that are especially on Facebook, and I keep calling it Facebook, not Meta, you're going to have to do your own fact checking to find out what's true and what is not true.
Right. And, we have to also keep in mind that the Republicans play a long game.
True.
So they are probably in the process of preparing for the 2028 elections. Excuse me. And this disinformation to groups that they're trying to pull in for voting purposes only is probably one of the main reasons why the disinformation is even going out even more and more.
Well, let me make it perfectly clear. I am a Democrat, okay? And I will definitely say I hope the Republicans are playing very long and looking at 2028, because what's going to happen is that hopefully there will be some changes, and hopefully major changes, in 2026.
Right.
And if they're looking at 2028, they may have missed 2026, and that gives us an opportunity to capitalize on.
And the other thing that he mentioned, President Biden mentioned, and I want to give him kudos on this one, is that he did get a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Gaza. But of course, that person who is incoming has already taken claim to that. But he had been working on that since spring of 2024. And as he was saying, that it was an arduous experience trying to get everybody to agree, but so proud that he got that agreement going. Those hostages will be released, and hopefully Netanyahu can go ahead and be more generous, if you will.
Well, let me ask a question about that. The one thing that Trump said, because he also was asked to give a comment about what he felt about the ceasefire. And he, as you said, wants to make claim that he is part of the reason why this deal went through, which I somewhat kind of believe that. You don't know what this wild card, he's like the Joker. You don't know, when you're playing cards, you don't know what that Joker might do to your hand. So he's in the same way. But the thing that I wanted to focus on is that he said if it wasn't taken care of by the time he got into office, he was going to be held to. What do you think he meant by that?
Caleb, what do you think?
I think it was going to be all bad for the Palestinians. He didn't mean that he was going to do anything to Israel, force Israel's hand. It was going to be all Israel all the time. So
what do you think he could have done?
He
to make it hell?
He could have gave Netanyahu a free rein and really open up the money and the weapon stores and everything else. And and it would have been, Netanyahu would have been completely unrestrained.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Everything has already been bombed the hell out. Okay, there ain't nothing else to bomb but rubble. Okay, they still killed a lot of people, even with the rubble and so forth. To me, this war going on at this point is only academic, and I don't even like to call it a war. And the reason I don't like to call it a war is because to have a war, you got to have two people fighting, and you only got one side fighting right now. So is it really a war? This is just really a massacre. That's a question.
Oh, that's a question.
Yeah.
No, so there is some restraint under Biden, because remember, the United States, just having Big Daddy behind you, it restrains a lot of other countries from joining in. It restrains a lot of other countries' diplomatic initiatives. It restrains a lot of other countries from joining in to the suit that's in front of the World Court or the ICJ. And so that, and then remember, there's a restriction with Biden coming in. Remember, that aid to Israel is conditional.
What do you mean Biden coming in?
I'm sorry, with Biden in office, that aid is conditional.
On what?
On Israel restraining itself. With Trump, there's not going to be any kind of conditionality.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, you can do whatever you want to, and he's going to make all kinds of moves behind scenes to make sure that Israel has a free hand. Whatever he was planning on doing was not going to be good for the Palestinian people. Absolutely. So, but and I know we just to touch on that the disinformation from earlier, and just to follow what you two were saying though, yeah, there seems to me there's been a disinformation campaign, but it seems to be very pronounced because it's this new thing that if you're still voting Democrat, you're on a plantation, or the disinformation. There's a lot of disinformation between black men and black women that I see, a lot of discord online, and I think that has to do with a lot of disinformation. There's a lot of discord online that I see between just different demographics. You know what I mean? They try to divide us. I see this foundational Black American, or ADOS, or whatever it is called. And to me, that is the dumbest shit in the world. And I'm just people aren't gonna like it, but it's true because it's something that further divides us as a people.
Adolf?
The foundation, this concept that we're foundational Black Americans, and so any crumbs that come, we get them and you don't. You know what I mean? And so that's the reason we're here. The reason our people got here is because they didn't sell in Cuba. The ship stopped in Cuba first. The choice slaves were sold in Cuba. So you're a foundational Black American because your folks were rejected. They were rejects. They didn't sell in Cuba. You know what I'm saying? So
his name, folks, is Caleb Alexander.
Yeah.
When you want to send your comment,
send it to them. You better know your history before you come at me. You better know your history. But no, it's just stuff, disinformation, along with misinformation that divides us as a people, and we don't need that kind of division.
Okay.
Not going forward, not in 2025, not with what's coming at us with this administration. We do not need that division. And there's a lot of stuff that's dividing our black men from our black women, dividing us from each other, dividing us based on politics or whatever it is. So just to touch on that, they need to be careful and watch for that kind of disinformation.
I like Carter's speech.
Yeah, there's been a lot of, and there's been a lot of, and it's been traditional because remember you had Eisenhower that gave the same kind of, he warned of the military-industrial complex. Mm-hmm. So every time you have presidents that lead, you know what I'm saying, a lot of times they'll give warnings to their predecessor and to the nation.
Because Biden said the technology-industrial complex.
And that
and I can see that. I can see that as a big concern.
AI.
Let's move on to the next topic. So here in San Antonio, I don't know about other areas in the United States, but I know here in San Antonio, we have a series called Dream Week. We have a celebration called Dream Week, but the activities probably start around the second week of January on to the end of January, but we still call it Dream Week. One of the activities was an art exhibition that I think several black men put together some art exhibits of black men where it was telling their stories, their perceptions, their voices were on display. Well, Hispanic, and he has a whole different description of him, so I'm just going to call him Hispanic at this point. And he's also gay. Came in, dropped the N word, and threw wine on some of the artwork. Mm-hmm. So, as I was reading this and seeing this, and I love art. I collect art. And one of the things that I got to thinking about is this piece called, I hate to say it, but intersectionality. Has it come to the point where, as the different groups are intersecting, that people, was it racist? I think it was a racist event. But are they becoming too comfortable in expressing their dislikes among other members of other groups?
I'll tell you what. So, I've said it a billion times, I do not believe in intersectionality. I believe we all we got. And to quote Maya, I believe in the white man's love for us. When I see a white man love the black man's good. So I've watched it over and over and over again, and you can check the historical record, how white women didn't want black women to participate in the suffrage movement. And so I've never believed in intersectionality. There's a cultural shift, whereas hip hop has gained a worldwide following, including some of the language of hip hop. With that being said, there's now a comfort level that came about, I guess, in the late 90s and early 2000s, where other demographics are freely using the N-word and calling each other the N-word. And I was shocked. I've seen a bunch of young white people calling each other N-word. I've seen a bunch of young white Latino kids calling each other N-word. You know what I mean? And so in that context, you know what I mean, and in the context in which they're using it, it's still, regardless of the context in which they're using it, and that it's generational, it's still the history of it is still offensive. And so to allow that level of comfort with it, I think young black kids shouldn't have never allowed that level of comfort
among their friends.
Yeah. So I think the first time they heard what I'm using, they should have popped them in the mouth.
In fact, we grew up in a Hispanic neighborhood. Mm-hmm. We were the only black family, I'm going to say, within a 100-mile radius. Right. Anyway, I'm outside minding my own business, and I'm a kid. And some other neighborhood kid dropped that N-word. Now, I hadn't gone through the training period of what that word meant, but all I knew was that didn't sound right, so I proceeded to whip his behind, and then, whipped his behind, and then went inside to go find out what he said. So after my mama broke it down to me what it meant, I went out looking for that word again. So, but I think that, I have to agree with you, is that because of the influence of hip-hop and the language of hip-hop, that too many people have become too comfortable in using the word.
Last year or the year before, the San Antonio's poet laureate, another Latino, had to resign from his position for using the N-word.
Right.
And so it seems to me that the artists in San Antonio are quite comfortable in using that word.
As I was reading the article, I really wanted to see that what he did was part of the exhibit, but it wasn't. So he's been banned from attending any other event for Dream Week, in that particular event. Okay, so,
Chris's comments. Come on, Chris.
Come on.
No, I just think it's a time where I agree with what both of you have said. To me, it's a time when we can really, or we should be having talks with rappers again about using this word. We have to police ourselves. And the only reason that this has gotten out of hand is because of our inability to police ourselves and to do anything against those people. They have used the term. They have come up with, I said AR and not ER, and, like it makes a difference. Come on, folks. Or it's been a situation where blacks have tried to say, we can use it between ourselves, but you can't use it. Okay? And I'm not so sure not that I'm not so sure, I'm positive that for me, that is never appropriate. And because it's not appropriate for some of us, and now you've got this situation where other people are using it, that's where the problem begins, is because we've got other people who are using it, who don't know how to use it, who are using it maybe incorrectly, and any way they use it is incorrect.
Right.
But the point is that they try to use it in the very same way that black people have done it. And people have always emulated what we've done.
Mhm.
Okay? And this is somewhat no different, except it's all the way wrong. And we don't want this replicated.
Right.
And we need to police our own to be able to stop it. And our inability to do that is why we're at this point.
One more point before we go. That same that's the same misogyny that you've seen in rap music has also bled over into society. You know what I mean? And so it's comfortable to demean black women, and that is also spread to other demographics. This demeaning of black women. And so the first time I hear one of them disrespect mine, it's going to be a big problem.
But let me take that one step further. When you talk about degrading black women, it has even been said in some circles trying to evaluate the election that the Democrats did not embrace men, and because they didn't embrace men, that was one of the reasons for the loss.
It's bled over into the wider society.
Right.
The idea of voting for what they perceive as, you know what I mean?
Right.
And let me just correct that. I said the first time somebody said that, first time I hear you say that about any sister. So let me just correct that. That's any sister. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're absolutely right. Now I'm glad that you concur with that because I never even thought about it. But they said that Kamala, when she wanted to deal with black men or men, period, she sent out her husband. When they wanted to deal with black men, she sent out Obama. Yeah. And when they wanted to talk about women, they sent Oprah and some other people, and they had all these women that were together. So the men were saying silently, we're against this. Not only were we against a woman president, but we're against a woman who also seems to be against men. I'm not saying that this is true, but that was what they said their perception is. And I think it ties into what we've been talking about of what has happened with rap music, how it has evolved into something else, and Trump saying, just grab him by the, it's the same type of thing.
Well, we got a few other topics we got to get to.
Okay, so yes, we do.
Okay.
So Mrs. Michelle Obama, missing in action at the Carter funeral, and just coming out and saying she's not going to the inauguration. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. She don't have to, and she ain't fake. She ain't faking.
And what I like about it, she's not explaining.
She ain't got to.
It's kind of like she doesn't have to explain.
Exactly.
She does not have to explain.
This is the first time that I know any Democrat or person who's on that side of the aisle, so to speak, has voiced their opinion, didn't have to be political correct, and she did it with no apology. And I applaud that.
Yeah, she did. As far as I'm concerned, she did what she had to do at the first inauguration. Okay? And if you look at some of the pictures, I went back and looked at some of the pictures, she was not happy to be at that inauguration, but she had to do what she was supposed to do. But this time around, girl, have fun in Hawaii, and if I'm there and see you, I'm going to give you a shout out myself. And then finally, Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, this is really an interesting situation here, to where the mistress of the house is not the wife, per se. It's the husband. And she did not...
So don't call him a mistress.
But he's the first gentleman. So anyway, she did not invite, as the vice president, the incoming vice president to the vice president mansion.
Yeah, right.
And the only thing that Mrs. Vance asked when she was talking to the first gentleman is to make the house kid-proof. So, very interesting. The top two black women, I guess, in the Democratic Party, both said no.
Good. I'm happy they did. I'm happy they're standing in their power, And they ain't got to. They ain't got to bow, scrape, and smile, and do none of that. 'Cause hey, it is what it is. They need to, and I hope other sisters and brothers take the lead from these sisters and realize and stand in their own power as well. Can we run through a couple of?
Go ahead.
Okay. So, one of them I did want to touch on real quick. So TikTok. TikTok. What's up?
I'm happy that the Supreme Court upheld the ban.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw me asking, are you familiar with the security risk? TikTok. Yeah.
I mean, data. They're afraid that through the Chinese ownership, through the Chinese company, and it's also partially owned by Chinese government, that they'll have access to Americans' data.
What kind of data? Okay, I've got the app. I'm doing the app.
Right.
Okay, what type of data are they getting from me, per se?
Right.
See, this is how I'm thinking about this whole TikTok. If you really looked at TikTok, it was a huge, major communication and news central for the Gen Xers, Yers, and ever. And so again, they're trying to control the media outlets to where the government has more control as to what we're reading and saying. Yeah, that's the same thing. So what security risk? The Chinese are pretty sharp, and if they want to get access to something, they can. And so they've got TikTok, and now they're saying Red Note. Well, Red Note is Chinese, and they've got some interesting rules that if you do this, then you have to send over your driver's license information and stuff like that. So, and then with Trump having the TikTok led at the inauguration, it's going to be real interesting if he does what you suggest.
What?
What do you say how Trump's going to handle TikTok? Is he going to lift the ban or not?
He's going to lift the ban. Let me answer my own question. This is what I heard today and why I'm asking the question, because I did not understand or had not heard this prior to. They said TikTok can verify or know in your text messages what you're saying, what you're sending. They can also access your contacts, and they can access your telephone.
Well, the way I look at it,
that's a security reach for me. Okay, it don't have to be for the U.S. It's just for me.
Well, the way I look at it is like this. If that's the case, they need to ban Temu also.
They need to ban a whole lot. Every single app can do that. Every single one of them can do that. So other than that, just real quick, Nigeria and Dangote oil on the point 10. They are disrupting. It just came out. OPEC did a report. They are disrupting European oil, and they are taking more and more of the market. And so this is huge. So Nigeria is not only going to be able to produce their own gasoline, they're now exporting gasoline to their neighbors, aviation fuel, diesel fuel, and this in Nigeria, that one refinery is larger than every single refinery in Europe. And so it is a major consequence. And so Nigeria will be able to eventually supply gas to all of Africa.
I applaud Nigeria.
Exactly.
Yeah, I applaud Nigeria.
Well, we've had a lot to talk about today, and we hope that you put your comments in there and engage with us. But as we say with Contemporary Black Voices, this is, we're telling the stories our way. And again, make sure you hit the subscribe button, share this video with your friends, and click on the like. Talk to you later.
Go Bucks.
Oh, wow.